So our house is at the top of that river, beyond where the river starts.
This is Castellón province, near Spain's eastern Mediterranean coast. Still virtually unspoilt, it's a former refuge for Templars and Cathar heretics, and home to the sacred peak of Peñagolosa, on the edges of which our mountain farm sits.
The book tells the story of a year that Salud, my wife, and I spent living up here on the mountain. So this is our little olive grove here. And by next December, which is when the olive harvest is, hopefully we'll get a nice crop. Hopefully, in 10 years' time, or wild boar permitting, because wild boar are eating all my trees, but wild boar permitting, in 10 years' time I may have black truffles up there.
15 years before Salud and I moved in, fire wiped out much of the forests in the area. Mercifully, the olive trees, almonds and a handful of pines survived. But we decided to help things along by planting over 250 new trees on our mountainside, mostly oaks and holm oaks, impregnated with black truffle spores.
This is a little holm oak. In about 7 or 8 years' time, this will start producing truffles. I'm getting to know the area, and I'm getting to know all the folklore and the traditions, and I realise there's incredibly rich heritage, this incredibly rich culture just here, but hardly anybody knows about it.
So they used to whitewash them, and then they do the insides of the windows, they paint them blue. Because the idea is that it's meant to ward off either mosquitoes or evil spirits. That's the idea. All these plants have some traditional thing that you can use. Usually, like this is mastic. Okay, they just kind of brew it and stuff, and it's good for stomach problems and all kinds of stuff. All the old guys, well, not all of them, but a lot of the old guys around here and the women, they know all this old herbal lore.
We quickly had to pick up basic survival skills, so isolated is the farm. Yet 30 or 40 years ago, these mountains were populated by people still clinging on to a traditional way of life. Today, almost all their farms lie abandoned, and their rich oral culture is slowly dying out.
That roof actually blew off. The winds here in March are just unbelievable. I mean, like 100-mile-an-hour winds. And what actually happened was that it took this whole roof off, including the beams and everything, and it just chucked it like 200 yards that way. And we just arrived, and it was like, well where's the roof? I mean, took like 2 or 3 minutes just to kind of register what had happened, because it was just such a weird thing that the roof kind of just wasn't there anymore.
Fiestas are a major part of the year, and they reflect the changing of the seasons or important moments in the farmer's calendar.
The first big festival is at the end of September, and that's San Miguel.
San Miguel comes in late September and marks the end of the traditional harvesting period. Fireballs, bulls with fiery torches on the ends of their horns, are set loose around the village. Young men run with them in a reflection of an ancient fertility ritual.
The next big fiesta is St. Anthony's Day, or San Antoni.
This time marking midwinter. A bonfire lights up the central square, while men dress up in dragon costumes and beat the girls with sticks.
Again, it's about fertility, and it's about the coming of the sun at the darkest time of the year.
The coming of spring and the wet season is marked by pilgrimages over the mountainsides. The most important one involves 12 men from the village of Les Uceres who embark on a 2-day trek to Peñagolosa and back, praying for rain.
There's a whole tradition of storytelling here. There are all these ancient stories and legends about this local area. One day these stories, they may just no longer exist anymore. So with the book, I wanted to preserve as much as I could of the traditional culture here, including the stories and the legends, including the medicinal use of herbs here and just the ordinary plants that you walk around.
there's like this hermit guy who I knew up here, who told me all the stories. He used to say like gathering stories is like irrigating the land, gathering all these stories, and then one day you can tell the stories. When the moment's right, you tell the stories. So it's like the same as gathering all the water, and when the moment's right, you irrigate the land again.
The local authorities are building what they describe as Europe's biggest holiday resort on the coast nearby, complete with a new airport for tourists. Soon this area will be awash with sunseekers, and the ancient culture that these mountains have engendered will come increasingly under threat as the last guardians of its secrets, the farmers who once worked the terraced fields here, pass away.
One of the things I'm trying to do with the book is just kind of take a portrait of this area before it gets ruined. So I'm just trying to capture something of the essence and something of the magic of this area before it gets lost.